Something is not right. Mustafa, good morning, Mustafa. How are you doing? How are you doing, Mustafa? Happy Saturday to you. All right, I'm trying to get something right here, but it's not, it's kinda, this thing is kinda. Sak passage, share you know. Oh! M'oblige perle ou no. M'bliye, a mes amis. M'palwele ou pita. Okay? Bonnie Bantan, Mila, good morning. How you doing? Good morning. Good morning. Listen, yesterday I slept like I slept like it was nobody's business yesterday because I was so tired. This night shift is getting to me, but hey, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do, my friend? I got bills to pay, right? So, sister here gotta work. Okay, one day I might find somebody who's willing to take the burden off me a little bit. I can't even wink. But that's what I wanted to do. But anyway, lovely people, this morning we are going to go right along into the book of Nahum. We wanted to do the book of Nahum before, but we didn't get to. So now we're gonna go into the book of Nahum. Once you come in, though, guys, don't forget to collect your daily heart me and collect your coins. Okay, you are going to need those coins. Once you go start going around on the talk, you can use those coins to gift other people, but don't leave them on the table. If you have sent your daily heart me, if you have not yet sent your daily heart me, send your daily heart me, and then click on the little oval beside my name right there, and you will see another screen will come up for you to claim your coins. Claim your coins. Do not leave them on the board. Your host does not get them, and there is nothing I can do with them. They just go proops. Right, Unique? They just disappear. So collect them before you leave. Mustafa, good morning. How you doing? Welcome into the live. All right. Over here, welcome to you all as well. Welcome into the live. We are going into the book of Nahum this morning. If you are not somebody who cares about anything in the Bible, well, this might not be the place for you, or it might be the place for you, because neither do I. But in my pursuit for knowledge and my deliberations in wanting people to understand that the things that we are reading and claiming to be complying with in this book, the majority of it makes absolutely no sense. I read it. Yeah, I read it and I share it. I share what I've read. I share what I've discovered. I share what I have found in the book. Yeah, and oftentimes it brings a lot of discourse. For one, people are not willing to accept that this content is actually in the book that they revere, the book that their grandparents revered and their parents, and it was handed down to them. They don't want to accept the fact that some of the literature in the book could be so cruel. So despicable. Nobody wants to have to face it. But I am one with an open mind. I read it because it was given to me. It's not like a book I go to the library and I pick up off the shelf. It's a book that was given, actually shoved down my throat from birth until now. And I was brought up on it so much so that I was even baptized in one of the Christian faiths, and I was expected to live this quote unquote life, this quote unquote holy life, honorable life. I don't know. I was expected to conduct my life in a particular fashion that meant that I they said forgive 70 times 7 and even more, where I was supposed to be submissive to to a husband, where I was supposed to, claim a particular day to be my holy day in which I worship and do nothing, and it, all these things. So because it was thrusted upon me, it was also my responsibility to read it and to make myself aware of what was expected of me. Because you see, I wanted to be in total compliance. I did not want to miss anything. I wanted it to be of such that when you see me, when you hear me, when I share my religious convictions with you, it is of such that I have evidence to back up what I am saying. Akim, what's up? To back up what I am saying, and I'm not just spewing stuff from my mouth, parroting stuff that was told to me. All right? And so I went on this journey. Scott Man, good morning. How you doing? So I went on this journey to read it for myself, because they said everything in the book was written by the hand of God. This is what I was taught, that everything in the book was written by the hand of God. And if it was written by the hand of God, it was written by men who were inspired by God to write said scriptures. And so after being told that and being browbeat into believing that, it was then my responsibility to read it for myself, because who don't want to hear what God wrote, read what God wrote, and who don't want to read inspirational text that God directed inspirational men to write? Who don't? I wanted to. So that led me to read the book here from Genesis through to Revelation. And what do you know? And what do you know? I am going to say that I came out, after having read it, I came out a better person, because no longer is anybody allowed to lead me with a proverbial rope, to lead me on like a sheep, to just tell me stuff and tell me they want me to comply. They want me to agree with these terms, and they want me to take on this armor of these terms and conduct my life in a particular fashion that makes it, acceptable for people of the same faith. So there you have it. I came out wiser than I went in. And so I want to share that with you all. And that is what has brought me to reading the Bible out loud. And those of you who have been here with me for any period of time, you would have experienced me reading the book out loud from Genesis through to Revelation. And this morning we are going to do this on the request of some of my listeners. They have requested that we sort of read the books one by one, not so much in order, but one by one. The book that we read last time, we had read the book of Jonah. We came out with a lot of questions more than answers. We had read the book of Habakkuk there, and now we are on to the book of Nahum. Nahum is one of the shorter books. But nonetheless, it is one of those books that also has influence on the way we think when we read the Bible. So you all forward up, come on in. Don't forget to, those of you who are over on the top, don't forget to read, to get your Bible if you so desire, because we can do this. We can do this together. All right. Let us find the book of Nahum, people. Let us find the book of Nahum. We're going to read and see what Nahum's contribution to the Bible is. All right? If you all are ready, let us begin. So in the book of Nahum, you say you don't know where to find the book of Nahum? I have a little song that I learned in church since I was 3, 4, 5 years old. And every time I want to find a book of the Bible, I sing that little song until I get to the book. So I know exactly where to find it. Nahum is somewhere after. Seer, what's up? Somewhere after the book of Micah, I believe. And somewhere in front of the book of Habakkuk. That's when you're getting close to the end. Lisa, what's up? When you're getting close to the end of the Old Testament. All right? So we're going to read the book of Nahum. We have just about, um, I'm going to say about 2 hours. Knickknacks, what's up? Just about 2 hours, because we are going to do the cooking live, and we don't want this one to run into that one. We want them to be separate. Okay? So we are going to read the book of Nahum. All right, let's hear what Nahum said. Nahum was another one of those, Kev, what's up? One of those prophets who claim to have spoken to God, because almost everybody in the Bible claimed that they are prophets and they have spoken to God and God had told them stuff. And so some of them seem to have been told more than others, because in some books there is a whole long story, while in other books they had just so much to say. As we saw in the book of Habakkuk we read the other day, he had just so much to say about his communication with God. So now we are going to see what Nahum has to say. All right. So in the book of Nahum, it says, the burden of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum, the Elkoshite. DJ Six Pants, good morning. God is jealous, and the Lord revenges. The Lord revenges and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserves wrath for his enemies. Y'all heard that, right? This is out of the Bible. This is actually, depending on what you believe, either you believe God wrote the Bible and he wrote these words, or you believe that he inspired men to write the Bible. This is what Nahum begins with. God is jealous. He revenges. So who tells me now that revenge is supposed to be a sin when it is a characteristic of the God that I am supposed to worship? Let's talk. This God that I am supposed to revere and I'm supposed to worship and I'm supposed to desire to be like, I'm supposed to desire to be like this God. But I'm not supposed to be jealous. But here, this God is jealous. I'm not supposed to be revengeful. But here in Nahum, this God is revengeful, and he saves his wrath for his enemies. But I'm supposed to love those who hate me. Do you all see the contradiction? Do you all see where it makes no sense, or is it just me? Now, if you think differently from me, you are welcome to share with me, respectfully, of course. You are welcome to share with me, what are your views on this? Because if my mom is here and my mom is saying to me, you need to be like me, you need to do as I do, whatsoever I tell you to do, this is what you need to do. You should not steal. And every day I go to the store with my mom, I see my mom pick up something from the store, put in her purse, and she don't pay for it. And what am I going to learn as the child? That behavior would be contrary to what my mom is teaching me, right? So now I'm going to have to choose. Do I obey my mom and do what she says not to do? Or do I act as my mom and do what I see her doing? Tell me, which way do you think I should choose? Because now I have a conflict. I have a conflict in how I should behave. There's a conflict in what is expected of me. Just like there is right here in the book of Nahum. God is jealous. He revenges. He takes vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserves wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. That means if the Lord will not acquit the wicked, it means he will not forgive the wicked. He will not let you off on that charge of wickedness. But he's all loving and all forgiving. Do you all see the conflict there? That makes sense? Let me tell you something. When I first embarked on this journey to read the Bible, I told myself, I am going to try to, if not able to dismiss totally what I was taught, I'm going to try to put what I was taught in the back of my mind, like sort of tuck it away somewhere, and then read the Bible with an open mind, sort of pretending that whatever I read I had not heard before. This was how I went into this thing. And after having gone in like that, I realized that not only was I duped for almost for the better part of my life, not only was I duped into believing that these were words inspired by some God, but I was misled in the process as well. And it continues to leave this confusion in my mind. You know, should I embrace Elizabeth, what's up? Should I embrace what I'm reading, or should I just abandon it altogether? I have chosen the latter, because if a truth cannot be absolute, then it is no truth at all. You heard me right? Right? Truth is absolute. And because I cannot find absolute truth in the Bible, I will take none of it to be such. Okay? Because truth is absolute. There can't be 10 different truths for the one scenario. There cannot be 10 different truths. There has to be one truth. Truth don't have variations. The truth is absolute. It is what it is. That is the truth. You can't go around it. You can shimmy away from it. It is what it is. Unlike a falsehood, there can be several representations for falsehoods, but there can only be one truth. And this Bible does not represent that truth. Therefore, I have absolutely no obligation, and I do not regret walking away from it and not embracing its ideologies anymore, because it lays it right there for me. I didn't make it up. I didn't say, oh, somebody come with a book and I just say, oh, I'm tired of reading. I don't want to have anything to do with that book. That's not the case. I actually perused the what is supposed to be the teachings, these writings, and I've come to the conclusion that rather than this Bible teaching love and grace and forgiveness, this Bible is actually telling me how this God is, and expecting me to follow this God, but at the same time to not desire to be like the Bible say he is, but what they tell me. That makes sense? You tell me God is love, God is grace, God is peace, all these things, and you say you need to aspire to be like this God. At the same time, you tell me, though, that you're born in sin and shaped in iniquity. You can never be like God. You have to always be on your knee. You have to always be praying and asking God for forgiveness because you are constantly sinning and you sin and you know not. You tell me all these things. And then you hand me a book. AG, my love. Good morning, sugar. How you doing? Good to see you. And then you hand me a book. Frank, good morning, my love. How you doing, sugar? Good to see you. You hand me a book and you tell me this is the book, this is the guide. In this book, you will find all the traits of this God that is going to lead you closer to him, to being like him. And I take this book gracefully and I read this book. And in this book, it tells me this God is jealous. This God is cruel. This God is hateful. This God is revengeful. He reserves vengeance for his enemies, for the people who don't like him. He's going to destroy them. You don't see the conflict there? You don't see the conflict? And then when I say, hold up now, wait a goddamn minute. This can't be the same God that you told me I need to be like. This can't be the same God you tell me I need to be like. And you tell me it is wrong for me to be jealous and revengeful and hateful and cruel. And yet you present me a book that should make me be like this God. And this book tells me that this God is everything that you are telling me not to be. But I should be like this God. Does it make any sense? It makes no sense to me. Okay, so I am not here to convert anybody. All I am doing here is presenting the facts of the Bible. You make your decision. Dr. Jamaica, good morning. How you doing? Yeah. You make your decision. Okay? But because it is right here. You see what I'm saying, Dr. Jamaica? It is right here. It is not something that I am making up. It is not something that, it's not that I'm trying to dissuade people from believing what they believe or doing what they have been indoctrinated to do. That is not that's not in my plan at all. That's not my intent. If anything, it is for my own growth and development, and I have chosen to share the journey with you all. You can see the hypocrisy in all of this. But let me start again. Let me read again the book of Nahum. Let's start with Nahum again. Nahum says, God is jealous, and the Lord revenges. The Lord revenges and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his enemies, on his adversaries. And he reserves wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his ways in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Scott, what are you saying? You had a holy Bible in private between you and God. And okay, Scott says you had a holy Bible in private between you and God and you and God only, whatever that is supposed to mean, that they gave me a holy Bible that I was supposed to keep in private between just me and God. So I shouldn't share what's in it because it's just between me and this invisible being. So how dare me read it out aloud? How dare me read it out aloud? I'm supposed to only read it in private between me and this God, He and I. Yeah, when I'm down on my knees talking to myself. Yeah, just between me and Him. All right. Kali Wali, what's up? How you doing? But let me continue. Let me continue, my friends. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to those of you tapping the screen and those of you over there on the tube. Thank you for registering your like for the live. You can get your own Bible and follow along if you don't mind. All right? Let us continue. He rebukes the sea and makes it dry and dries up all the rivers. Bashan languishes, and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languishes. Let's continue. The mountains quake at him and at his presence, yea, the world and all that dwell therein. Who can stand before his indignation? And who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. Okay. All right. So there it is. God is, Nahum is telling us how cruel and vengeful this God is. He'll dry up the sea, make people go, he make people go hungry, he make the drought come and cause people to die, all because he's upset about something that they did or did not do. Why I find this to be concerning is that this same God has the ability to make these people do as he would like them to do. He has the ability to change their minds at an instant. But he doesn't. He watched them fail. He watched them just run amok. And then he says, you have failed. You have run amok. I'm not going to steer you from this course. Instead, I'm going to destroy you. To me, that makes no sense. It's like watching your child with your favorite china. Your child has your favorite china. Your 2-year-old just picked up your favorite china. And you are watching this child preparing to break your favorite china. And you sit there and you do nothing about it because, damn, you got something for that child. And as soon as that child deliberately drops that china on the floor and breaks it, you give them a whooping of a lifetime. What does that make you? That tells me that you are crazy. You are crazy. Because you could have avoided having to give that child that whooping if only you had, number one, put the china out of the child's way, and if you had gotten that china from the child before the child dropped it on the floor. So you had choices. The infant, in his undeveloped mind, in the infancy of his intellectual development, this child just sees something that they can pick up. Exercising his motor skills, picking up something. You, on the other hand, knows better because you would have known from experience by now that if this child dropped this china on the ground, it's going to break, and you don't desire for your china to be broken. But you sit there, watch the child pick it up, watch the child drop it, break it, and then you give the child a whooping of a lifetime. And then you sit back and you say, as a parent, you feel better after having whooped that child. You feel better. That makes you feel better. Wouldn't it have felt better if you had taken that china from the child before the child was able to drop it? Let me continue. Let me continue. If you are just coming, I am reading from the book of Nahum this morning. Okay? In Nahum chapter 1 and verse 7, it says, "The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows them that trust him." That is something else. That there is something else. God knows everything, correct? God knows whether you love him, whether you trust him, all these things. So you going on your knees and caressing his ego and telling him, "Lord, you know how I love you. You know how I trust you. You know how I believe in you," is you talking to yourself. You are talking to yourself. And why do I say you are talking to yourself? Is because you being on your knees saying all these things is making no difference. It's not making any difference. Nahum say God already know whether you trust him. He already know whether you love him. He already knows. So if he already knows the answer, the truth, what you think you being on your knee telling him you love him and you trust him is going to do? Nothing. Nothing, because he already know. And that is why I say this is though for another video where when I'm gonna talk about praying and why I think praying makes no sense. Yeah, I said it. I don't think praying makes any sense. I just think that because we were taught as children, oh, you gotta pray for what you want. I have never gone into an exam with prayer being my rock, prayer being the motivating factor into me going into this exam with hopes of passing. Never. Never. Because if that was the case, if all you needed to do was to pray to go into an exam, I am sure we would have more people who would be able to just pray and go take an exam for teaching. Go pray, go take an exam in being a doctor, go take an exam in being a nurse, go take an exam in being a phlebotomist, whatever it is. Just go pray and then go take an exam. That's not how it works. And the same way it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work with anything else. You don't just go on your knees and go pray that God will make you be able to afford a house. No. You have to work and save your money and have the funds to buy the house. It's not by prayer that you're going to be able to afford the house. It's not by prayer that you're going to be able to go to the grocery store to get food. That's not how this thing works. The overcomer. Good morning. Good morning, the overcomer. How you doing? This person says, good morning. Are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? Swift One, I think I see you there. Good morning. How are you doing? Good to see you. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. All right. The overcoming. Good morning. How are you? I hope you're having a great Saturday morning. welcome into the live. This is not a live about me questioning what I believe is not going to be here or there. Okay? I am reading what is actually on the pages of the Bible. And by me reading what is on the pages of the Bible and telling you how I feel about what I read on the pages of the Bible, you will come to your own conclusion. Okay? So let us move right along. All right? Verse 8. Let's read verse 7 again. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows them that trust him. But with an overrunning flood, he will make an utter end of the place thereof, and darkness shall pursue his enemies. You hear those conflicting statements right there? He loves you, knows what he knows those of you who trust him. But Joel, but with an overrunning flood, he will make an utter end of the place thereof, and darkness shall pursue his enemies. Now, what would make somebody God's enemy? What do you think would make someone God's enemy? According to the Bible, the enemies of God in the Bible, you realize, for those of you who have been reading the Bible, are the people who are not descendants of Jacob. You get that? The people who this God considers to be his enemies are the people who are not descendants of Jacob. Because the Bible here, these teachings that are throughout this Bible, are for the descendants of Jacob only. So tell me now, let me drink a little water here, please. So tell me now, who created those other people? That's my first question. And why wasn't it important for this God to present himself to those people like this claim, like it claims in the Bible that he has done to the descendants of Jacob? It's like me having my 5 children, and I say to one child, listen, I am going to teach you the way to live. I am going to teach you what is right and what is wrong. This is how I want you to conduct your life. Okay? And everything I've worked hard for will be for you and the grandchildren you give me and the generation that comes forth from you. You will inherit everything that I have worked hard for, the money I've saved, my life insurance, all these things. You and your children and the children of your children will inherit all that I have. The other 4 of my children can go to hell. And if they ever say they don't like me, I am going to spill the wrath on them like they have never seen. Does that make any sense to y'all? I know for some people it sounds perfect. It makes perfect sense to them because it is not their reality. But in a book where someone can write this and you can read it and someone else can come along and indoctrinate you and convince you that this makes sense, and you have adopted this conviction and says, yes, this is not practical, but to me it makes sense because the word God is in it. You realize how ridiculous you sound? You realize how ridiculous you sound? It's an absolutely ridiculous. So here is God talking about the enemies that he hates, the enemies that he wants to destroy. These enemies, I would say he created these enemies for himself. Yeah, he created these enemies for himself because how he made these people, he made these people. Thank you for coming. Have yourself a great day, my love. Be safe out there in whatever you do. Because how is it that he has made these people, but he does not require these people to serve him based on, according to the Bible, based on the instructions that he has given to the descendants of one man. He has given instruction to the descendants of one man that this is how they are supposed to live. And if they live this way, he will continue to love them. He will take care of them. He will be their guide, their protector, and all these things. But the rest of people who he himself have created, he don't give a damn about those people, how they live, who they serve, what they do, but yet still he has a desire to destroy them because they don't serve him. Yet they weren't given instructions to serve him. Does that make any sense? They were not given instructions to serve him, but yet still they are being punished for not serving him, so much so that he calls them his enemies. And he threatens to destroy them because they don't serve him. But they were given instructions to serve him. He don't desire their service. He don't desire their praise. But his desire is only to destroy them. I don't understand how people who are well learned could accept and embrace these writings without even asking any question. Why you all don't ask questions? And that is why you are vilified anybody who asks questions about these writings. Anybody who disagrees with you and says, something about this makes no sense. Something about this isn't right. I've got a few questions. Y'all don't like people like that. Well, I'm not here to be liked. I am reading from the same book that I was given to read from, the same book which I was told was written by God or written by men inspired by God. So if there's anybody for you all to hate, it's not going to be me. It's going to be the author of this book. Okay? But let us move right along. He says, what do ye imagine against the Lord? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. For while they be folded together as thorns, and while they are drunken as drunkards, they shall be devoured as stubble fully dry. There is one come out of thee that imagines evil against the Lord, a wicked counselor. Thus saith the Lord, though they be quiet, and likewise many, yet thus shall they be cut down when he shall pass through. Though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more. For now will I break his yoke from off thee, and will burst thy bonds in sunder. Okay, let's continue. And the Lord hath given a commandment concerning you, that no more of thy name be sown. Out of the house of thy gods will I cut off the graven image and the molten image. I will make your grave, for thou art vile. Behold, upon the mountains the feet of him that brings good tidings, that publishes peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feasts, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee, he will utterly cut off. Okay. I don't know. This is supposed to be like God against Nineveh. But I have a question. Y'all remember? Hold on. I'm thinking here because all the things that I have read sometimes sort of crowds my mind. Y'all remember last week we read the book of Jonah? Y'all remember how the Bible said God took Jonah from what he was doing and sent him to Nineveh to go warn the people because the people were wicked. And through all that Jonah went through, the storm on the sea, he went down into the ship. They found him. He told them, threw him off the ship because it was his presence that was causing the storm. They threw him off the ship. He was swallowed by a big fish. He stayed in that big fish's belly for 3 days. Then the fish vomited him out on the shore. He continued his journey into Nineveh. He went in and he preached to the people and told them that God was upset with them and God was planning to destroy them in 40 days, something of the sort. And so the king determined that if God was going to destroy them, they were going to play this God. Yeah, they were going to play him. So he made a decree and told the people, go ahead, everybody, go down in sackcloth and ashes and go ahead and caress the ego of Jonah's God and tell him how good he is, how nice he is, how wonderful he is, how much you love him. And don't eat for 3 days, neither you nor your animals. Don't eat for 3 days. Everybody and everything go down in sackcloth and ashes. And let's see how well this caressing of the ego of this God will turn out for us. Well, it did work, according to the book of Jonah. It did work because after that, after that, after that, Jonah went up to sit on the edge of the city, waiting for what God promised that he was going to do to the city. And it didn't happen because the people caressed his ego enough, gave him sacrifices enough, and all of this. And then God got upset with Jonah because Jonah had the audacity to be mad that God took him away from what he was doing, sent him to preach, to tell the people what he told them, and then God turned around and changed his mind about destroying the people, all because the people caressed his ego enough. And Jonah got mad. And then God avenged Jonah for being mad. He made the sun beat down on Jonah's head. Then he sent up this gourdy tree. You all know what a gourdy tree is. He sent up this gourdy tree to provide shelter for Jonah because sun was beating down on Jonah's head. And then he sent a worm to eat the gourdy that was sheltering Jonah's head, leaving Jonah to bake in the sun. And when Jonah told him that how upset he was that he had not done what he said he was going to do, and how he had a gut feeling that this is what was going to happen, God told Jonah, what are you even mad for? You mad that I removed the gourdy from providing shelter for you? You didn't plant the gourdy. You didn't water it. You didn't do anything to make this gourdy tree be there for your shelter. So don't be mad. I put it there so I can remove it at will. You mad at me because I chose not to destroy these people, even though I took you from what you were doing and sent you over here to come warn them? You mad at me for not destroying these people who don't know their right from their left? And look how many thousands of animals these people have. You want me to go destroy them? And this would have been the same God who had no qualms about destroying an entire world with water. This would have been the same God who had absolutely no qualms about burning down Sodom and Gomorrah. This would have been the same God who instructed his people to unalive a whole town and take the young girls who had not yet known a man for themselves. This would have been the same God. Anyway, I drink the water. Let us continue. So my thing is, this same God is not consistent with his delivery of justice. And so when you all tell me, oh, God don't change, God is forever, God don't change, his words are forever, I call bullshit on that right away. Okay? Yes, I do. I do. I call that absolute nonsense. And you people are deranged to believe otherwise, because the book here does tell you that God changes his mind frequently too. God changes his mind all the time if you follow the Bible. He changes his mind. He's telling one thing and he's doing something else. And you say he don't change his mind, he doesn't change. And that is also where my stance against prayer comes in, because if God has already determined what is going to happen to you, he already knows. He knows when you're born, he knows when you're going to die, he knows you before you were formed in your mother's womb, he knows the trajectory your life is going to take, and all of these things. He already knows. What is you praying going to do? You're going to make him change his mind? He already has your life plotted out as to what is going to happen in your life up until the time when you're going to die. He knows every strand of hair on your head, all of this mess. He knows all of this. But you can pray to him and have him change his mind and change the course of your life. Good morning, Mom. What? But why am I have to cuss? You know, you're not yet. Anywho, good morning. How are you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. She said, why do I have to cuss? Like me look like my word, don't you? You don't look like my word. I'm in a word. But anyway, good to see you. But let's just continue, lovely people. So we saw how God did with Jonah, right? She says it too early in the morning. She don't think man wake up yet, and here I come starting with him. Yeah, me need to start with him. Morning, noon, and night. Morning, noon, and night. Where I say Susie gone. Susie left. Susie went back home, my love. Let us continue. Me see. Raymond. When say ladies, stop saying he, it is she. What that mean, Raymond? What that mean? Me not get what you say. Me not get you. Me see a trader know. At least he gave a little bit of life to the place, you know? Yeah. But anywho, we are going to continue. We are going to continue reading. But before I continue, so what I was saying about this Nineveh, or this Nineveh thing came up, is that after Jonah had warned the people, and he had, you feel like Job, not fully. You feel like Job, not fully. Let me finish this thought first before me talk about that. Nahum is really talking about how the victorious armies of God would go up against Nineveh. So if Nahum is talking about God going up against Nineveh, shortly after Jonah would have said God changed his mind about Nineveh because he could not bear to destroy this city where the people had where there was like I think it was 120,000 people. Don't quote me. I could have missed the number, but I think it was like 120,000 people and all these animals and stuff that they had. God said, "I'm not going to destroy them, and I'm not going to destroy these animals. And furthermore, these people don't even know the right from their left. It's like saying to yourself, well, I'm no longer going to punish somebody who has mental challenges because they may not be aware that whatever they are doing is wrong." Let us continue. So you see, God would have changed his mind about Nineveh, right? 1 minute they are his enemy, and the next minute he's not destroying them because they don't know the right from the left. So he's having sympathy on them. Let us continue. Somebody says, can you change God's mind? Well, that's a great question. Can mankind change God's mind? That's a great question. And I believe that's what people try to do when they pray. That would be what they try to do, wouldn't it be? Because if God, the same thing I just said just now, if God knows everything, God knows what's going to happen before it happens. He has your life's plan already plotted out. So anything that you are doing now is him supposedly guiding you to this path because he already knows what you are going to do and what the outcome is going to be. But you are supposedly able to pray that you don't have that car accident that is in his plans for you. You are supposed to pray that you become that professional that he has planned for you. You are supposed to pray. That's a mighty hell of a question. Because if you think that once you pray, God will give you what you have prayed for, that means you are totally abandoning the idea that God has your life already planned out. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, well, you can pray and ask him for what you want and he will grant it to you. But if it's not in his plans to give you, then you won't get it. So what is the point of praying then? Because if he has it in his plans for you, it will happen, right? Good. So if you pray and it does not happen, what does that mean? So you see, it's not making any sense. It's not cohesive. All of this. You say Hezekiah prayed and turned his face to the wall and prayed and got what? And got 15 more years. Is that what happened with Hezekiah? I don't remember. And got 15 more years on his life. Is that the guy you're talking about? Yeah, I wouldn't want to believe that he prayed and got 15 more years. All right, go check and let me know. I appreciate you. Because that's what my mind is telling me. But I'm going up in age. Sometimes I forget stuff. But after having read the Bible, some of the things I do remember, some of the things that clearly I'm human, I'm going to forget. But if that is the person you are talking about, and that was what happened with him, where he prayed and got some additional years on his life, I don't think it was because of the prayer that he got additional years on his life. He was destined to have that many years, and that's what he got. Because you could have prayed till you're blue in the face. You can't tell me that it is your prayer that is making you wake up every day. No, if you're sick, you've gone to the doctor give you medicine, the medicine got rid of the infection, and so your body returns to normalcy. You continue to live, you continue to thrive, you continue to grow. When your time comes, when your physiological functions cease, that is the time you die. But it is not because you can pray and ask God for 10 more years and He's going to give you. Look how many people pray and pray and pray and say, oh, well, I have this, it's my one child, it's my only child. God, me want to live for this child, finish high school, go to college. As my mother would have said, pass the worst. Me want to live for this child pass the worst. And you pray night, you pray day. And this child go out on a night in high school with their friends. And the worst happens. And you say, oh, well, it was God's will. Then what are you there pray for? You're just talking to yourself. Somebody says, it is in 2 Kings 20. Yes, that's Hezekiah. I'm gonna read that. Not right now, but I'm gonna remember it. But it does ties into what I say about praying. I don't think it was because he prayed why he lived 15 more years. It wasn't because he prayed. Because how is mankind supposed to know how long they are going to live? We don't know. We don't know how long we're going to live. So if you tell me that God knows how long we are going to live, but we don't, but we can pray to Him and ask Him to let us live longer than the time He has allotted for us, that means we have the ability to make God change His mind. So if we have the ability to make Him change His mind, then who is the more powerful of us? Because my kids can beg me to change my mind. If I could say to my daughter, she could say, Mom, can I go with my friend? And I say no. And she can tell me, oh, but Ma, you said to wash the dishes. And then, Ma, I got 100 on my test today. Please, can you, please? And then I would relent. I could relent and say, okay, then you can go for only 10 minutes. That shouldn't be how we are able to, I'm going to just say manipulate. That's not how human beings should be able to manipulate this God. I'm just saying. Because then He would not be steadfast in what He has planned for our lives. It would be a whole bunch of mix up, like playing checkers where he's moving the parts here and there, and you have the ability to move them as well. And if you can't move them, you have the ability to ingratiate Him so much that He will move them in your favor. I did a prayer for 2 years ago, but nothing. Anyways, I'm going to have a rougher day today. Can't start like this. No, man. Don't tell yourself you're going to have a rougher day. Don't tell yourself you're going to have a rougher day. You have to sit down, identify what is going to be your trigger based on what you have to encounter today, and make a determination as to how you're going to plan for those triggers, how you're going to make it work in your favor. Not just write off yourself so and say you're going to have a rougher day. No, sir. No write off yourself at all. No do that. No do that. No do that at all. Okay? Let me continue. Somebody says, where am I reading from? I'm reading the book of Nahum. Nahum has just just 3 chapters. Yeah, Nahum has just 3 chapters. So we're reading the 3 chapters in Nahum today. All right. All right, let us continue. We are on to chapter 2, my friends. He that dasheth in pieces is come up before thy face. Keep the munition, watch the way, make thy loins strong, fortify thy power mightily. For the Lord hath turned away the excellency of Jacob as the excellency of Israel. For the emptiers have emptied them out and marred their vine branches. The shield of his mighty men is made red. The valiant men are in scarlet. The chariots shall be with flaming torches in the day of his preparation, and the fir trees shall be terribly shaken. The chariots shall rage in the streets. They shall they shall jostle one against another in the broad ways. They shall seem like torches. They shall run like the lightnings. He shall recount his worthies. They shall stumble in their wake. They shall make haste to the wall thereof, and the defense shall be prepared. The gates of the rivers shall be opened, and the palace shall be dissolved. And Husab shall be led away captive. She shall be brought up, and her maids shall lead her as with the voice of doves, tabering upon their breasts. But Nineveh is of old like a pool of water, yet they shall flee away. Stand, stand, shall they cry, but none shall look back. Take ye the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold, for there is none end of the store, and glory out of all the pleasant furniture. She is empty and void and waste, and the heart melts, and the knees smite together, and much pain is in all loins, and the faces of them all gather blackness. Where is the dwelling of the lions, and the feeding place of the young lions, where the lion, even the old lion, walks, and the lions whelp, and none made them afraid? The lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps, and strangled for his lioness, and filled his holes with prey, and his dens with meat. Behold, I am against thee, said the Lord of hosts, and I will burn her chariots in this smoke. He's talking about Nineveh. All right. And I will burn her chariots in the smoke, and the sword shall devour thy young lions, and I will cut off thy prey from the earth, and the voice of thy messengers shall no more be heard. Chris, good morning. How are you doing? How are you doing? Today was Saturday. Happy Saturday to you. Welcome into the live. Thank you so much for stopping by. Okay. So I believe at this particular time, this Usab person was the ruler in Nineveh. Let me refresh my memory. Let me see if Google can help me with this. But I believe, based on what I've read, I could be wrong, but I believe this Usab. And my thing is, was it that God was destroying Nineveh because it had a female ruler in this whole Nahum story? You all help me out there. If you all know, because you may, I know there are lots of people here who are well read. I don't know if you all had read anything to the like about whether or not Nineveh had a ruler, a female ruler whose name was Usab. So let me ask Google here. Um, All right. Well, I don't know, but AI says, what the hell? But AI says, based on what is written in Nahum chapter 2 and verse 7, this Usab, he says, Usab is generally not considered a proper name of a specific ruler of Nineveh, but rather a Hebrew term from the book of Nahum, interpreted in several ways regarding the city's fall. That's what AI says. I know that AI is not usually when I consult with AI. Swift one, good morning. When I consult with AI when I'm reading the Bible, the context is not really there. I think AI has more of a like a Zionist view of the contents of the Bible, so it interprets as such, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So it is saying that the name Husab, but in Nahum chapter 2, verse 7, it says, and Husab shall be led away captive, she shall be brought up, and her maids shall lead her as with the voice of doves tabering upon her breasts. And I was saying that this this Husab was probably a ruler of Nineveh at some point. AI is saying otherwise. So pick your choice. I can't say which is true. Difference maker, good morning, my love. Yeah, I can't emphatically say which would be considered to be the truth. Because AI says it wasn't a real person. My interpretation of it here, based on what I'm reading in the Bible, would tell me that it was a ruler of Nineveh. And God is threatening that he's going to destroy Nineveh. And what's going to happen to Husab? It is what it is. But let us continue. And this is why I say to y'all that you got to read the Bible for yourself. Because does the Bible have some confusing elements? Of course it does. Are you going to automatically understand everything that you read in the Bible? Maybe not. And one of the reasons why you may not understand what the Bible is talking about when you just grab a verse here and read it is because it's not in chronological order. And so the stories, though they may be intertwined into Hebrew history, you have to read it in its entirety to figure out oftentimes which era did this particular story occur in, the setting of the story, where the setting of the story is, who was king at the time, who were the neighboring king, what was the agreement between the Hebrew people in Judah and their neighbors, because it is always who is your friend. Exactly. You have to be able to dissect it. Yeah. Because it's not written. I don't think it was written for us to understand. I think it was written with a deliberation. They were deliberate in trying to confuse the reader. And that is why we were told never to question God. Oh, you don't question the Bible because you don't question God. So if you don't question God, who does? You got to question you to be able to understand what is it that he really wants from you. And if what they present to us is the Bible, then you got more questions than answers. There's a lot of questions. Because when you read it, I don't find it to be overwhelmingly honest. I don't find it to be overwhelmingly fair. I don't find the language in the Bible to be easily understood. And people are going to say, oh, you got to ask your pastor to interpret it. Pastor himself need interpretation. Why would it be that this God, if he's inspiring men to write this book, would inspire them differently? Why wouldn't it be the same inspiration for everybody, and everybody is writing, being easily understood, knowing fully well that the people who are going to be reading this book and expecting to follow the writings in it are ordinary people like me and you? Why would he want to make it complicated and then tell you you have to go to somebody else for them to interpret it for you? Does that make sense? That make no sense. At least not to me. But for a while, in my little lifetime, for a while, it did make perfect sense to me, because I used to say, well, if it's in the Bible, it's true, it is right, and whatever God says, that is the answer. But I've learned better. And there is no greater evidence of learning than a change in your behavior. Okay? So let us continue. You haven't read it in its entirety, and you were not here for the whole time when we did. Well, I hear fault. Because we have read it in its entirety. And I came out not piece better than I did when I went in. Okay. But let us continue. We are going to be reading Nahum chapter 3. This is the last chapter in the book of Nahum. In the book of Nahum, by the way. Nahum chapter 3. He says, woe, oh, you weren't consistent. Let me tell you something. Those who desire to read the Bible in its entirety, you have to get a certain kind of bravado to sit with it. I tell you, I sat here every morning for approximately, I think it was about 2 years it took us. I couldn't come every morning because clearly I worked at night, and I would come in the morning sometimes when I'm off work. But when I'm not at work, when I didn't work the night before, I would come here and we would just read and talk about it. And it took us damn near 3 years about to finish reading it. And we came out not piece better than we went in. I came out with a resolve that it's really a book filled with confusion, and I've questioned whether it was a deliberate attempt to keep us in the confines of submission, why the Bible has been compiled the way it has been compiled. Because it's not like somebody sit down and God was telling them what to write and say, okay, write this, write that. There's nothing of the sort. People in olden days were encouraged to write. There was no computers or anything. People were encouraged to write their experiences. Either it was actual experience or it was some imaginary experience. People would say, oh, they dreamt something. I saw God in my dream, like Jeremiah. Jeremiah said God came to him in his dream. God told him to put on some clothes on his loin, wear it for 3 days, then take it off, bury it by the river Euphrates, pick it up in 3 days, hold it up and look at it, and look how it was marred and dirty, and that was how the heart of the children of Israel were. And then he was supposed to go preach to them and tell them how God is upset with them, and he doesn't like the fact that they are abandoning him, and many of them have gone to live with others in other cities and are now worshiping other gods. And God said they should come. A whole bunch. Y'all remember the story of Jeremiah, that crook, for the people to come back. And so these people at that time were being encouraged to document your experience, and they did. And then sometime later, the Romans got a hold of these ancient writings, and they say, hey, look at these writings here. We can use these writings to control the world. Yeah, because they don't want to invoke the name of God. People start trembling and falling to their knees. People stop thinking for themselves, because we were taught that thinking for yourself and asking questions meant that you are an heathen, you deserve to face God's wrath, and you deserve to be cast outside of the camp. Because how dare you question God? So you must just follow like sheep. Just follow like sheep and ask no questions. And that is how they have gotten so much of the world to be submissive to these inconsistent writings that are in the Bible. Because they were first successful in driving fear in us. Let us continue. Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departs not. The noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and of the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots. The The horseman lifts up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses because of the multitude of the whoredoms, of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that sells nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? Whence shall I seek comforters for thee? So this right here is God outlining his plans for the destruction of Nineveh. He's going to, he speaks in metaphoric terms according to Nahum. He speaks in metaphoric terms about the planned destruction for this city, that he says there is whoredom going on and all of this. And his solution is that he is going to put a skirt over her head. He's personifying the city as a woman. He's going to put her skirt over her head, expose her nakedness, cause her enemies to look at her nakedness. By so doing, that is the way he's going to embarrass her. That's how he's going to embarrass her and bring her to her knees, bring her to shame. This is God's plan for a whole city. To bring the whole city to shame. The gracious and loving and kind God. But let us continue. He says, Art thou better than Populus? Now, that was situated amongst the rivers, that had the waters round about it, whose rampart was the sea, and her wall was from the sea? Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength. So I think this is talking about another city that was destroyed. The name of that city was No. What do you mean by you never heard of it? Me neither. But let's see. Let's ask Google, was there a city named No in the Bible? In the Bible. Yes. So you say you never heard of it, but yes. The Bible refers to the Egyptian city of No, which is generally identified by scholars as the ancient city of Thebes. All right, so now you know. All right. So he says, here Nahum is asking the question about whether or not the populous city of No, whether or not Nineveh is any better than the city of No. He says, art thou better than the populous No, that was situated amongst the rivers, that had the waters round about it? No, was an island, I assume, where rampant was the sea, and their wall was from the sea. Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Put the Lubim where put put and Lubim were thy helpers. Yet was she carried away. She went into captivity. Her young children also were dashed to pieces at the top of all the streets. And they cast lots for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound in chains. So clearly, he's sort of saying to to Nineveh. And Nineveh is no better than the city of No. The city of No was surrounded by the sea, surrounded by water. The city of No was clearly an island who was dependent on Ethiopia and Egypt to be its strength, to protect it. But there wasn't enough protection for the city of No. The children were dashed against the streets, the children were destroyed, the water came in, destroyed the whole city, and the noblemen were taken away and stuff. So he said, like, if that can happen to the city of No, what do you think can happen to you? You are no different. Nearly like what we see going on right now. But I'm going to continue reading. I'm not going to say anything about what we see going on right now. Okay? He says, thou also shall be drunken. Remember, he's talking to Nineveh. Nineveh also shall be drunken. Nineveh shall be hidden. Nineveh also shall seek strength because of the enemy. All thy strongholds shall be like fig trees with the first strip figs. If they be shaken, they shall even fall into the mouth of the eater. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open upon thine enemies, and fire shall devour walls. Draw thee water for the siege. Fortify thy strongholds. Go into clay. Something here, see? Hold on there. Okay. He says, draw thee waters for the siege, fortify thy strongholds, go into clay, and tread the mortar, make strong the buckling, the brickling. Let me see what that is. That sounds like the walls of the city, to strengthen them. BRICKKILN. Because maybe I could be saying, right, so we are right. The buildings, to fortify the walls of the city. There shall the fire devour thee. The sword shall cut thee off. It shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the locust. Thou hast multiplied thy merchants above the stars of heaven. The cankerworm spoils and flies away. Thy crowned are as the locusts, and thy captains as the great grasshoppers, which camp in the hedges in the cold day, but when the sun arises, they flee away, and their place is not known where they are. Thy shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria. Thy nobles shall dwell in the dust. Thy people are scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathers them. There is no healing of thy bruises. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap their hands over thee, for upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually? What is Nahum really saying? If you tell me go read the book of Nahum and find out what is Nahum saying, Nahum is just talking about how the city of Nineveh, how God is going to destroy the city of Nineveh because he sees the people in Nineveh as his enemies. He's going to destroy them. And in the same breath as Nahum is saying God is going to destroy Nineveh, in the same breath he's saying, oh, Nineveh, your men are scattered on the mountains and the sword is going to destroy them. And it's sort of a mockery. It's sort of, to me, it's sort of a mockery, saying to Nineveh, you are no better than the city of No. God, the same way how God destroyed the city of No, even though it was being protected by Egypt and Ethiopia. Because remember back then, the great superpowers, Ethiopia and Egypt, were the great superpowers. So if your country had protection from either of those country, then enemies didn't want to touch you because they would not want to face the wrath of Egypt or Ethiopia. They wouldn't want to. So here, Nahum is saying, Nineveh, there is nothing you can do to stay away, to stave off the wrath of God against this city. There's nothing you can do, because if the city of No, that was being protected by Egypt and Ethiopia, was destroyed, what do you think gonna happen to you? Do you think the power of this entity that's going to destroy you, do you think anything will be able to save you if there was nothing that could save the city of No? I guess that's what he's saying, and is essentially, to me, it seems like he is mocking. He's mocking them and telling them what he thinks is going to happen to them. But I don't understand why death is always the solution for this God, for the people who don't agree with him. I really don't get it. His only solution for anybody who disagrees with him or acts outside of the teachings that he has given, mark you, the teachings that he claimed to have given is not for the entire world. The teachings, the instructions as to how to behave so that you can remain in alignment with his teachings, these are not given to the whole world. It's only given to one group of people, the descendants of Jacob. So how in the world is he going around and punishing the rest of the world and calling the rest of the world his enemies? He made the rest of the world his enemies. He made them his enemies. Because he could have done this teaching in such a fashion that this teaching is accepted by everybody. This got the one bunch of foolishness. One bunch of foolishness. Yeah, I said it because it's true. He has the handle and we have the blade. He has the authority to do all of this, right? To do everything that the way he wants it done, right? He's in control. The wind, the waves, our thoughts, everything, he's in control. So he has this power. to do everything the way he wants to, and in such a fashion that man cannot alter or change it, right? So here he comes and he gives his instruction for the way people should live to the descendants of one man out of the whole world of his creation. He gives the instructions to the descendants of one man and say, this is how I want you to live if you want to be loved by me, if you want me to stand up to your enemies for you, if you want to remain in favor with me, this is how I want you to live. But to hell with the rest of the world. They are my enemies. I will not stand up for them. In fact, I will destroy them because they don't live the way I have told you to live. But my God, you made them. Why didn't you tell them in whatever way you wanted how you wanted them to live? Why you only choose one group of people but punishing the others? That makes no sense. Imagine America's law says on the 95 it's 70, the max. But yet still, in Jamaica, people are being punished based on America's law. It don't make no sense. None whatsoever. Well, I'm going to call it back. I'm going to call it back when I come off alive. All right? Okay. Right? It makes absolutely no sense to me. Because if I'm not a descendant of Jacob, these teachings here in this Bible don't apply to me. And people are going to say, oh yeah, but Jesus came, and when Jesus came for the world. And to that I would say, why would God have to change then? And you know what I mean? Oh, God never changed. His word is forever, today and tomorrow. Then you make no sense. Because you want to tell me that this God who don't change and this God who knows everything did not know, was not aware that when he was teaching Moses how to instruct the people, he did not know that it was not going to work. So much so that he was going to have to later on send his son to change what he had taught Moses to tell the people, but God never changed. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. Because God would have known, or should have known, that what he was teaching Moses needed some revision. And then he would have given Moses the one instruction. This is the one instruction I'm giving you for the people for generation and generation and generation, according to what Moses says. It will not change. Okay? They're going to have to bring their animals to sacrifice because I love blood and I love meat. Tell them to bring their animals to sacrifice for their sins every single week. Okay? But no, that's not how the Bible is set up. You tell Moses, the people should bring their animals. They come, they kill all these animals. There's blood, there's meat. They do all these rituals, etc., etc., etc. And then, excuse me. And then later on, God says, oh, wait a minute now. We can't be unaliving all these animals. We can't be, in people just for simple things like someone mixing linen and gabardine. If you make a gown out of linen and gabardine, just for having two different types of fabric in your clothes was enough for you to be. And then God revisited those instructions and said, oh, wait a minute now, that's kind of barbaric of me. Why don't I get a little, get a 12-year-old girl pregnant and get a little boy to come and then I'm going to sacrifice this child and say, okay, everything has changed. You no longer have to sacrifice animals. You no longer have to do all these things, all these teachings of Moses. You no longer have to adhere to all of this. Everything is going to be changed because my son has died for your sins now. But then you continue to sin. So did he really die for your sin? Because then he says, if he says he died for your sin, you should no longer be sinning, or you should no longer be punished for having sin. You should no longer have the ability to sin anymore. Because if they say he takes away your sin and wash you whiter than snow, so why in the world do I still have to pray every day, pray without ceasing, stay on my knees and pray and ask God for forgiveness for sins I didn't even know I commit? Pray for what? But I'm just trying to see if it's just me, or is my analysis of things if my analysis of things is way out there, or if I'm making sense. Because sometimes we think we make sense in our heads, but when we talk out loud, you say, oh, it don't make no sense. You might hear them say, if you had kept your mouth closed, people don't know you was a fool, something like that. But I don't accept that. I say you speak. You speak what your thoughts are, because sometimes it's only by having spoken your thoughts aloud and having somebody else assess it, that you can go back and reevaluate that thought and say, okay, I see somebody else's point of view that maybe make more sense than the one that I had. Okay, I guess this is what happened in the case of God, because God had to revisit the whole teaching, all the teachings that he gave to Moses, to give to the people. And this is how I want the people to live, by these rules. You can't mix fabric. You cannot be found. You can't pick eat. Oh, that's one different thing. With Moses, you couldn't do it on the Sabbath day. You like today's Saturday. Yeah, the law of Moses meant that you couldn't go into your field to go pick a corn. Yeah, you would have been put to death if you did that. Your animal dropping a hole on your farm on Saturday, you weren't allowed to go take it out. Yeah, you left the poor animal there, make the rope strangle him and all. You weren't allowed. And all these other teachings that were not practical at all. And then God had to come back and revise those teachings in the New Testament. The same God who does not change. The same God whose word stand forever and ever, because he don't change. But yet still, he had to come back in the New Testament to revise those teachings of Moses that he supposedly told Moses to teach the people. So what you call the changes? What you call the changes in the New Testament? A change is a change. A change is a change. So if there was no change, then we would continue to live just like Moses taught the people. So if you not tell me say God don't change, on a line. If you not go off the Bible. Because if there was no change in the Bible, then you could have an argument and say, all right, Trev, the whole Bible from the beginning to the end, there was no change. It was the same teaching throughout the entire Bible. Nothing changed. God still stood by his word, and that was that. Then I couldn't argue with you. I couldn't argue. But that's not how the Bible is presented to us. The Bible is presented to us with Moses having told the people one thing that he said God told him, and given them a set of rules. And then God said, oh my goodness, these rules are not working for the betterment of mankind. These rules are ridiculous. People are being killed for just the stupidest of things. The law says they must be stoned, they must be shot with an arrow, all of these things. And so he revised everything. And then he says, oh my God, I changed my mind. I no longer want you people to be killed because of these transgressions. So I'm going to send my son so he can offer you grace and you don't have what? And God did not see this coming. It's the same thing with the Noah story. And I'm trying to tell you that it makes absolutely no sense. It don't make no sense. It's like God a shuffle cards. It's like God a shuffle cards, and whatever card him pick at this point, him say, hey, you know what? Me sick and tired of them people out upon the earth. My spirit grieve the fact that I made them. Me know me make them people here for. Me no longer want these people on the face of the earth. And since me have the power and the might, here what me I go do, me I go just get an old man and tell him to build one big old boat and put all of the animals them in the boat. And I go just drown off them people here. So God not have no mind. God not have no power. He's not able to change these people's minds, to alter their thinking so that they think differently. They think with him in mind and their thoughts are in alignment with his. He don't have that power. The only power he has is to kill. So him say, well, my solution is that I'm going to just drown off everybody. I'm just going to drown off everybody and start over. But his start over is going to be with these 8 people who are also descendants of the people he just drowned. You follow me now, you know? These 8 people are descendants of the people, are relatives of the people he just drowned. And then after he drowned off all these people, and him open up back the ark, and him let out these 8 people, and he said, no, continue, go ahead and go repopulate the earth for me. He still at that point did not give them a list of things that they could and could not do. The only thing they were told to do was go repopulate the earth. And look up at the rainbow. That means me not coming back with water. Next time I going to come back with fire. So God already knew for him to have said he's not going to come back with water, he's going to come back with fire. He already knew that the people who were going to be the descendants of these 8 people he was letting out of the ark were not going to be able to live up to the standards that he had set anyway. Because they did not even have a book anyway. They didn't have any teachings. They didn't have any writings to say, this is what you should follow. They were still going off the teachings that they knew prior to having gone in the ark. Yeah, that's what we're going off of. And that is why there was no change. Did the people change? No. Did anything change? No. The people became similarly wicked. The people became similarly cruel. The people did the same things that they were doing. All the descendants of Noah and his 3 sons, all of their descendants ended up doing the same wicked things that God hated so much that he destroyed the rest of the world for. So what was the point of destroying the world only for the new population, the new populace to be the same as the people you just destroyed? Does that make sense? Think about it. That makes no sense. None at all. Because I thought him destroying the earth meant that he wanted to cleanse the earth. He wanted the earth to be better. He said the sins of the people rose up to him to the highest heaven, and he was angry and he regretted the fact that he had made mankind. God shouldn't have any regrets. The fact that the Bible continues to say God regret this, God regret that. God should not have any regrets if he already knew what the outcome was going to be for the things that he has done. Regret and God should never be in the same sentence. Because if I know that if I fling this phone against the wall, it'll go break, and I consciously take the phone and fling it against the wall and it break, what may I regret? It was my intention to fling the phone and break it up. And I already knew what was going to happen. But me not have the powers like God. Because God will have the powers where he can fling the phone and the phone not broke. And him can say, I flingest thou, but thou breakest not. Me not have that the power. I have no power over science. Science is what it is, and it's going to be what it's going to be. I don't have no powers over the laws of glass colliding with concrete. So I can fling a phone into concrete and say to the phone, don't break. Because concrete going to do what concrete going to do. But not so with God, right? Not so, right? He has all the ability to do the things that he wants to be done. And in the way that he wants it to be done. So he should have no regrets. So he should have never ever regret having made human. Because he would have known what we were going to do, what we were capable of. And all the characteristics that are in us is what he put in us. It's not we make them up. He was the one who created us, and he created us as we are. So it is ridiculous that he would create us the way we are and then punish us for being the way we are, and then hate the fact that he made us the way he made us, even though he has the power and the authority to not make us the way he made us. It is just confusing, people. It is one whole bunch of confusion. Nothing but confusion. And then he's going to say, I regret making humans, and because I regret making them, I'm going to drown them all. God himself don't know what he's doing. If I should go by the Bible, it would tell me that this person don't know what he's doing. Because if we have a president who behaves like that, if you have a manager who behaves like that, if you have a parent who behaves like that, then you have questions like, Mommy don't know what she's doing. Mommy tell us to do one thing, and then when we do it, she do it way. You don't care, your mother go get a psychiatric evaluation. You say my mom is crazy. Like she will tell us, when you come home from school, you all need to work together and make dinner until I come. I don't care. It's up to you all. You have the autonomy to decide what you're going to cook that evening. Like when I was growing up, my sister that I followed she was the one who was responsible for the cooking. When we got home from school every evening, we didn't have to ask any question about, what we are going to eat for dinner. What we are going to eat? No, what we're going to eat for our dinner. My mom have, there is saltfish, there is flour, there is rice, there is whatever is there. And my sister had the autonomy to make a decision as to what she was going to cook and how we was going to help her. Who are going to carry the water, what we are going to do, but she's going to be the cook, and she's going to decide what we are going to cook. Now, you think if my mom would have come home and said to us, me not telling her not going near the fire with burn, no. Would that make any sense? When she had already given us the autonomy to make our dinner when we come home from school? It wouldn't make any sense. But here we have this God. Here we have God who makes us the way he does. We are living according to how he has made us. And then he comes around and he says, okay, I don't like the way you all are doing things, even though he made us to do them that way, I don't like the way you all are doing things. And because I don't like the way you all are doing things, my solution for you all is that I'm going to just drown you. Isn't that cruel? Isn't that cruel? And among a whole world of people, he found only 8 people who he considered to have been worthy enough to be spared. And him drown the ants, the cockroach, the snake, him drown everything, all the sea creatures, him drown everything. How did Noah, how did we get sea creatures again if Noah drowned, if during Noah's flood all the sea creatures were drowned? Remember asking yourself that? Does that provide another element of proof as to why the story makes no sense? Him drown all the fowls of the air, all the land creatures and all the sea creatures. Because Noah sure as hell, Bible never said Noah was able to take any sea creatures, any water creatures into the ark. It never said there was a pool in there where he was going to keep the shark and the whales and all the other sea creatures. So you can see that the story makes no sense. You can see that the story itself is crazy. And it makes no sense. And I know when I say it, a lot of people get upset, but I'm here to tell you all that I'm not here to offend anybody. I am doing my own analysis of this whole Bible thing, and I choose to do it out loud. I know I get a lot of flack for it. People say, "Oh, you are heathen, you are atheist, gotta go wait and see what gotta go doing and all these things." And I find that is always the talking point for people who themselves don't understand. They are just as confused, but the fear that is in them is holding them hostage. So they are not going to say exactly what they're thinking. But me not afraid to say what me thinking. Kind of body can't beat me. It's as simple as that. You can say, oh, I'm not going to follow her no more because I like how the way she talk about the Bible or whatever. And that is purely your choice. That is your choice. And you are free to do as such. Because trust me, it not gonna stop me from talking. It not gonna stop me from being able to go work and pay my bills. It not gonna stop nothing. I'm gonna continue to talk about what I see in the Bible because the Bible was given to me as my guide. And since I'm expected to follow it, I have to share with you all what it is you're following. And that flood story makes absolutely no sense. I could have sympathized with God if after the flood, he had said to Noah, all right, now that the earth is going to be repopulated by you and your sons, here are the instructions as to what I want you all to do and not do so that you can be in agreement with me so we can avoid another situation like this. God would have me sold right there, so. But that did not happen according to the Bible. The only instruction Noah and his children got was to go repopulate the earth. But then hundreds of years later, here comes Moses. And Moses determines that this God has given him instructions as to how the people should live. But these instructions are not for the entire world. These instructions are only for the descendants of one man. So God has gone from one extreme to the next. Now he no longer wants to, he didn't want the whole world. He didn't want to be kind to the whole world with Noah, because there and then he decided, I'm just going to kill everybody and leave 8 people. And then now hundreds of years later, he's saying to Moses, to hell with the rest of the world. I only want the descendants of Jacob to follow me, to follow my instructions, because they are the only set of people that I plan to protect. They are the only set of people whose praises I want, or the only set of people whose praises I value. To hell with the rest of the world. But yet still, you want to punish the rest of the world. Makes no sense to me. Not a lick of sense. But we're going to continue reading. Barry! Good morning, Barry. How are you doing? Yeah, it makes not one lick of sense to me. But I could talk and talk and talk and talk until I'm blue in the face. I don't think anything is going I don't think anything is going to change. But I'm still going to keep talking. I'm still going to keep talking about it because it makes no sense to me. And as I read the Bible and I point out to you all how and why I don't think it makes sense, I hope you all will do your own research. Go read the Bible for yourself. Go read. Don't just sit here and take what I say. Or you have long been sitting in church and listening to what pastor says, but no longer just sit and listen to what I say. You go read it for yourself. Barry says, good morning, going in my garden. You want to know? All right, this morning. Barry, when yeah, me see y'all go in your garden. Say, me I'm going in my garden till later on. Yeah, later me I'm going in my garden. I have strawberries out there coming in. But the warmth is not being consistent. It's warm today. It's cold in the night. Um, I don't know what to. I don't know. I don't know. I was planning on planting some more seeds because it's almost the end of March, but the cold snaps keep coming. It has taken away all of my peach blossoms. So I'm not going to get any peach this year. The peach blossoms came up beautifully. The peach, I have 1, 2, 3 peach plants. They came up beautifully with blossoms. The plum tree came up with beautiful blossoms. I think maybe only the pear tree is going to give me some fruits. I think. The apple trees haven't come on yet. I can see the apple tree, one apple tree. It has not even budded out with leaves yet. So the apple is a little bit smarter. Apple and the blueberries are a little bit smarter than the peach and the plums. Yeah. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. What am I to do? But today I'm going to go in my garden a little bit. I have a couple of things. Eating before the sun come up. Before the sun come up and burn you. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Eric, tell me about all the contradictions in the Bible. And Eric said, tell me about all the contradictions in the Bible. And you people are bending yourselves into pretzels to make excuses. Well, my dear. Well, Eric, it is how they were indoctrinated. They do bend themselves in a pretzel to make excuses for all the contradictions that are in the Bible. They do. They do. They say it's God's will, God this, God that. You can talk to the people who are, who are churchgoers or people who claim Christianity, and no matter how you point it out to them, the inconsistencies and the contradictions in the Bible, they will tell you God's ways are not man's ways and all of this. You have to talk to them, my love. I can't help you. I can't help you, my friend. You have to talk to them because that is why I'm at the point where I'm at, where I'm saying to people, the stuff in the Bible is not consistent, inconsistent. It's contradicting. I use the Noah story all the time as my point of reference for the contradictions. I use Moses all the time to show to people how inconsistent the Bible is. And if the Bible is a book that is written by God or by men inspired by God, there should be no gotcha in the Bible. It should be written in such a fashion that even the layman can understand it, that nobody would have to go to theology school to understand it, that I wouldn't have to depend on a pastor to interpret it for me. Because it would not be that any of us go astray, right? It would be that we are able to understand the teachings, right? So it should be presented in such a fashion that we all understand it. All right, Kripanga says, Says the Noah story, somebody says here, the Noah story is not about a literal flood nor about humans. Say what now? Say what now? The Noah story is not about a literal flood nor about humans. Now, I don't believe there was any flood that flooded the entire earth, right? But that's neither here nor there when I'm going off of the Bible. I'm going off what is presented to me in hopes that I will follow it blindly, believe it, go out and teach it, and accept it as truth. So if the Noah story is not about a literal flood, and it was not about humans, then what exactly is the story saying? Listen, with an overdose of respect, Kipango, with an overdose of respect. I don't want anybody to send me to go read something else, so that I can understand the Bible. And no, thank you. No, thank you. Don't send me to go read 10 different other books and everything, because that is going to add another layer of confusion. Don't tell me to go study 10 different books, 10 other books, go read about African spirituality, da 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 da. No, thank you. Okay? Because it's about DNA sequencing and history. So no, child, I'm not even interested in this DNA sequencing and about no one history, sons and all. Hey, don't make 6 one half dozen the other. It don't matter to me, to be honest with you, about that. What I am saying is what is presented to me is this Bible and the teachings that is in this Bible, in which I am expected to follow these teachings. And because I'm expected to follow these teachings, I am obligated to read it. And if I am reading it and I cannot understand it, I'm going to teach it. Computers and DNA sequencing was the knowledge while people decipher from accurate. That might be true. That might be true, but that is out on a different limb from the limb that I am on with this good old Bible here that I was given as my guide. So say there are no other books, all right? Say there are no other books, there are no other teachings, nowhere else in the world. All I am given is the Bible. I'm treating it as such, right? Say all I am given is the Bible, and I should read the Bible and go by the teachings of the Bible. All right? Say that is it. That's what I'm doing. I'm reading it and going by what is on its pages. I'm not looking outside for any other book to justify what the Bible said, because the Bible in of itself should have its own justification for its literature, right? Okay. So I'm not looking elsewhere for anything to clarify or justify what I'm reading in the Bible. What does me being black have to do with anything? Me being black has nothing to do. Why you all are like that? Kripangle, respectfully, this might not be the place for you. Don't tell me about, because I am black. Being black got absolutely nothing to do with anything. I'm talking, I think we are not on the same page. And you want to invoke something that's completely different from where I am at, from what I am talking about. So respectfully, I'm not going to take into consideration what you are saying in the chat, because you're telling me, you are black. So because I'm black, what? I rest my case. Anyway, Joy, good morning. Yeah, I am going off of this book that's given to me. All right. I don't want anybody to tell me to go read some other books or whatever, because the Bible, in all of its wisdom, should not require me to go seek clarification for it elsewhere. It should be able to stand on its own with clarification, with justification, with truth and righteousness. And all. It should be able to stand on its own 2 feet. And I am finding that it cannot. And it's because it cannot stand on its own 2 feet why people are seeking other literature to provide justification and clarification for the contents of the Bible. Okay? That's it. Maribontus, I see you. How are you doing? Yeah, that is it. And I am saying to you that the Bible does not have its own 2 feet to stand on. The Bible cannot save itself from lies, from deceit, from contradictions, from hatred, from cruelty. The Bible cannot save itself from those things. So, because it cannot save itself from those things, it's not going to be able to save me or you. That's where I come to the end of this morning's live when it comes on to the Bible. I'm not going to prolong this suffering any longer. I'm not going to prolong it anymore. This is where 876 Farmer, good morning. This is where I'm going to end this morning's live when it comes to the Bible. We're going to continue going live today. I'm going to continue going live today. I'm going in my garden. I'm going to cook maybe. I'm going to do my hair. But whatever it is I'm doing today. 876 Farmer, good morning. Whatever it is I'm going to be doing today, it's going to be between me and y'all, right? We're going to be doing it. We're going to be doing it together. So, Legend, good morning. So I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live this morning. I sincerely appreciate you all. I will come back in about the next 30 minutes or so. I will come back and we will be on to something else. 876, yeah, me I go show the garden. Not in the garden yet because it's so cold. Remember last week? Was it last week? Last week or the week before? I planted some cowpeas. We are go out there this morning, go look. I'm going to go out there, but me wait till the sun come up and go see how the cowpeas, if them burst up. Yeah, but me plant some cowpeas the other day. I'm going to plant some more peas, but the cold just will not go away. The cold will not go away. I have strawberries that's coming in. And I am thinking about, you know what I'm thinking about, guys? Can I plant the seeds like in the grow bags and then cover up the grow bags with garbage bags to keep the cold away? Where are my farmers? 876 Farmer, you don't have those problems because in Jamaica we don't have no problem. We don't have those kinds of problems. We plant and we have sunshine all year round. We don't have a problem. Here though in North Carolina, the cold is what is the problem. Yeah. And then when I wait until like end of April, May to plant, yeah, some of the things don't come. Yeah. Not come well, I should say. So, something I know. But I'm going to go outside because I have the soil I need to put some more soil, like fortify the soil. And then them say spring, them say it's spring, like during the daytime, it will go up to like 80. And then at nighttime, there'll be ice. So anything that sprung up in the daytime when the weather was favorable, die down in the nighttime. It's like what the Bible talk about, you spring up in the daytime and wither away at night. That's what happened. That's what happened in my garden. Yeah, but I have so many seeds I need to plant, but I think I'm going to start using the garbage bags. Yeah, because they be springing up in the daylight and be withering down at nights. Yeah, so I think I'm going to, because the seeds gotta be planted. So we gotta find a way. We gotta find a way around it. So I'm going to wrap the bags with garbage bags and let them stay in there. They're gonna get moisture, and then the sunlight will penetrate the garbage bag, so they will get sunlight, and let them stay and grow underneath there. Make it be almost like a greenhouse for them. That's what I'm going to do today. Last week you all saw me empty out all my grow bags. Still have some more to empty out. I emptied them out and put the soil in one place. Then I'm going to put like the Miracle Grow soil and all of that with them and mix it up with some topsoil and mix it up, and then put them back in the grow bags and plant some seeds in them. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing this morning. But no, right now, in about the next 30 minutes or so. All right. So, guys, that's where we have come to the end of this morning live. I will see you all sometime later. Thanks everybody who came in. I appreciate you all. Join me again tomorrow morning when we will be reading another book of the Bible. Somebody said today that we should read the book of First Kings. The book of First Kings is a little bit long. We will not be able to read it in one sitting, because I think the book of the First Kings does have maybe like 20 something chapters. We won't be able to read it in one sitting. But these other little short ones round here, so yeah, we can read those in one sitting. So I'm not sure which book we're going to tackle tomorrow, but we're going to tackle another book in the Bible tomorrow. All right? And that's going to be it from me for right now, my friends. Until next time, this is your girl Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. I'll see you all later. Have yourselves a great day, guys. See you all later, guys.